this company actually makes some big OEMs sort of frightened. This company is called BOSCH. And why does it make some companies like big automotive companies frightened? Because I saw an autonomous driving bus built by BOSCH. So if I'm an automotive maker, you know, car maker, car producer, I would start wondering if one of my major suppliers suddenly starts to build my cars. So I'm really interested in the solutions from BOSCH now in this context, from Sangeeth Nambiar from India, BOSCH India. Give him a hand on that one. BOSCH is on the stage.
Very good morning, and thanks a lot for having me here. This is a short presentation where I want to give you a quick glimpse about the role ICT plays in enabling a human-machine society that we are all today part of. And also going forward, the core question that we're all talking today is, how can we make it sustainable? Am I audible? Yeah, sure. So that's a core question. Yeah, so can I have the slides, please? Please, excuse me. And yeah, so I will try to ensure that I don't frighten you, like Jan said. Yeah, so as I said, the core question is, now, how do you enable a sustainable human-machine society for the future, right? That's what we are talking about mainly. And the core thing is, we are a population close to 8 billion on this planet. And now that we are here, we start thinking about, hey, what is it meaning for the future, and how do we make it sustainable, right? And this was a journey that we came, wasn't a very linear one. We know this, right? I mean, it was an evolutionary and exponentially growing one across the many centuries that we have existed on this planet. And the core thing that I want to say is also about many things happened, and starting from agriculture or the formation of cities or maybe the Renaissance, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the core things we asked why and what made us or the human race one of the dominant species on this planet, right? And the common or an agreed theory to this question is that our ability to communicate and collaborate and do things in larger groups, which is impossible for any other species. And communication is at the heart of it. And when we talk about ICT, that's what we're enabling, right? I mean, we heard in all the previous discussions about how do you get these things done across departments, groups, people. And I don't have to say that today, sitting in this room, one of us can really design a system that we're really passionate about, manufacture it or parts of it from all parts of the world, assemble it and bring it, deliver it to this room to do a job that we really want, right? That's possible today. And ICT is at the heart of making that journey possible, right? And we have discussed the smart cities. And from an ICT perspective, the smart city journey has been that first we talked about connected things, then we talked about open data, where enterprises, governments opening up things and data which they would else not have done. And now on top of all this, we are able to run better algorithms like what Bhovina talked about, machine learning, AI, which can derive much more meaningful insights and use them all for smart applications, right? That's what we have been largely focusing on doing until now. And this doesn't end here, right? We need to do a lot more. We need to close the loop, right? This has been about building an application which can show you a great dashboard. That's what largely we have been done in the past. But now the core question would be, how do you close the loop? How do you impact the real world to make it better, more convenient, more sustainable, right? And there's a lot more to be done. For example, in terms of how do you interoperability? Because this world is going to be a heterogeneous world. It's not going to be a single siloed one vendor system, right? So how do you ensure that things can talk to each other? And how can you orchestrate both the social and technical side of things? So semantics, et cetera, those technologies tend to play an important role there. And then how do you create marketplaces for people to exchange goods and services? And services in this case can be also virtual. And trust plays an important role to enable that. And we also heard this in one of the talks before, right? And then ultimately, when you build any system in place, you need to talk about governance. You know, how are you going to govern the system that it's still useful and beneficial. And Jan started the discussion about, can AI be negative? But then I think it's just one more technology, and I am pretty optimistic about any technology change, and I think we as a human race will manage it better. Yeah. And just want to take one example on parking lot management. And we know parking is a core problem, and I'm sure some of us struggled with it today morning, and maybe Taj is better there. So this is one example from BOSCH where we have been looking at this area in smart cities of how do you make parking better, more convenient, better green. And some of the numbers, again, we can debate this. Close to 30% of the traffic in city centers across the world is related to parking. Either I'm looking for a parking lot, or I've reached my place and I still need to step my in, or or I'm coming back from taking the car and all that. And we have done some things from our end to reduce or help improve the situation. And I'll take two examples, one in the area of automated valet parking, where the core notion is about, can I have the situation where I bring the car wherever I want and they just leave it, the car goes and parks, ideal, right? And there is a thing running in the real world in Stuttgart where our headquarters are, which is a collaboration with Daimler. In the Daimler Museum, you can also go and experience if you have one of the cars which enable that. And the second one is about community-based parking, because often the question is, where is that next parking lot which is ready for me, right? And I'll show you two small video clips which talks about that. Is the audio good?
Traffic jams and the search for a parking space are on the agenda every day in major cities. Car drivers need 10 minutes on average to find a free parking space, time that a new service from BOSCH shortens considerably. Community-based parking navigates anyone searching directly to the nearest free parking space. As you drive past, sensors record potential parking spaces. Details about the location and size are converted into algorithms and evaluated online. So receiver vehicles get the information to free parking spaces, especially at their desired destination. The community approach guarantees accuracy, as the more vehicle data available, the more detailed the results. For the generation of digital parking services, all the relevant measurements are analyzed. The result? Real-time information about free, occupied, and special parking spaces. The free parking spaces are displayed for the driver in the recipient vehicle, making the arduous search for a parking space a thing of the past, steering you directly to the perfect space instead.
Yes. Sorry. This is about the automated valet parking, which I mentioned, which is running in Stuttgart. So this system which you saw, the automated valet parking, which we say is the world's first certified systems that we can put on public spaces, and that's what we have done. And AI is at the heart of most things that you see, and already Bhuvana gave you an example. And it's a key enabler, maybe in the case of automated valet parking to guide or to detect some things, or to, in the community-based parking, to say where is the next parking lot, to predict, because by the time I'm arriving there, I want to be sure that that parking lot is going to be there for me, right? Or to detect signs around that. And in all, AI is a key enabler. And we at Bosch say that by the middle of this decade, we will have AI as a core part of our products, or at least our products would have been built using AI. And that's a clear strategy that we have. And what works well today is all what we had about supervised learning, meaning you have a lot of data, human beings have annotated the data saying this is what is interesting in it, and the algorithms can detect that huge amounts of that, which typically human beings can't process. And that's what these algorithms are pretty good and beautiful at, right? And that's not enough, and there is a lot of new frontiers that we need to still conquer in terms of explainability, because the class of systems that we at Bosch are dealing with is we need to be sure that this is what the system is doing. It's not just to say that, yes, most of the time it's doing that. That's not enough for us, right? And you saw the world and autonomous driving, and this is a car from our Athena pilot, which is running in California. The world is really weird, complex, and random, right? The world we live in, and it's very hard to model. And here you see some of the examples, right? How do I model this guy up there with a chicken dress, right? So that's what the world that we are trying to deal with in the autonomous area. And generative models are one example. The reasoning we talked about, and how do we bring in the sentiment part of it, or how human beings think, and that's not even understood how human beings do that, right? And for us at Bosch, sustainability is at the heart of it, and I'm also proud to announce in this forum that starting this year, globally across our locations, we are carbon CO2 neutral. And
Whoa.
yeah. And this is not happening by accident or sudden. It has been an investment and a journey that we continued for a long time. And we formally announced it last year, saying 2020, we are carbon neutral. So we offset our contribution to the climate change. And remember that Bosch is a manufacturing company worldwide, and we make real practical goods there. It's not just a software company. Yeah, that's all what I wanted to share, and thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Sangeeth.
Thank you.
Right, now I can go relax back home and presenting a drill built by Bosch to my wife, because she's the one, she's the handy one. And I can tell her, well, it's CO2 neutral produced. Excellent, give him a hand for that, Bosch. Yeah, right. And besides seeing all these solutions you're coming up with, and one question I have straightforward. How many Indian engineers do you have at Bosch doing the research for AI?
That is the team that I represent, both research and advanced engineering scientists, and that's a team of around 100 associates, both in applied research and advanced engineering in India, located here. But if you ask how many Indians are working within Bosch worldwide, that might be a large number, and we don't bother too much about where they come from.
So how many do you want?
I think we need more. That's very
You need
clear.
more, okay. There's the next open door. If you are into AI or machine learning, knock on the door with Bosch. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.